So ADA as of late has been on an uptrend, and you can see that on this 50-day upside, we ended up retesting the 50 MA. And as it stands on the 4-hour chart, it looks like we are finding support at the 50 MA. But I do see this as being short-lived, and I'm anticipating a correction. And as you guys know, I've been tracking a WX Y structure, where this X wave ended up tapping into its target between 39 cents to 40 cents. And that took place over here, where we ended up reaching 40.2 cents. And since then, we have seen this move to the upside where we ended up breaching above the wave W. And that level sits over here at 42.18 cents. And we saw the Y wave play out where it looks like we ended up topping off at 43.9 cents. So if I bring in the fib tool and bring this down to 40.2 cents, what I do is check to see if the Y wave ended up tapping into its typical range, and that range sits between 1 to 1.236. And here you can see that we ended up tapping into that range. So yeah, I'm looking at for the Y wave to play it out, and the next move will be key for ADA, because again, I'm anticipating a correction, and that correction could sit between 50 to 80.2% of this move to the upside here. And so the next key region to be keeping an eye on will be this region between 39.37 cents to 41.33 cents. And so if ADA was to find support within this region, that then mean that what we are forming is a bigger WX Y structure to the upside, where this whole move that we witnessed over the past few days could have formed the W wave. And then we see the X wave play out, followed by another push to the upside, where ADA could then tap into this range here between around 45 cents to 48 cents. Now, if the price of ADA was to get rejected within this region, that would then mean that we are bearish. And what we could then see is another push to the downside, where the price of ADA would then breach below the local bottom. And that level is over here at 39.76 cents. And we then start trading deep within this region here. But then shortly after, we'll be looking at for that reversal to the upside. And if I zoom in, it does look like what we had forming within this Y wave was an internal WX Y structure. So if I bring in the fib tool once again and bring this down to 41.04 cents. So yeah, here you can see that we ended up once again tapping into that typical range for the Y wave between 1 to 1.226. And if I drop down to the 5-minute chart, yeah, it does look like what we had forming within this Y wave here was a 5-way structure, where this is wave 1, wave 2, and then a wave 3, 4, and a wave 5. In fact, this here will be the wave 3, and this here will be the wave 4, and that would be the wave 5. And this wave 5 would typically reach anywhere between 1.236 to 1.618 of the wave 4. So bringing in the fib tool, you can see that we just about extended beyond the 1.618 level, and so it is looking highly likely that we ended up forming this fifth wave, and what we can see is the completion of the Y wave and a correction where it could then tap into this range here. And if I zoom in, I check to see what's taking place over here. That move does look to be made up of corrective moves rather than impulsive moves. So here, for example, we had this WX Y structure played out, and so if I bring in the fib tool and bring this up to 43.66 cents. And so here you can see that the Y wave once again ended up tapping into its typical range between 1 to 1.236. So we more or less found support at the 200 EMA level. That then led to this push to the upside where we ended up breaching above the 50 EMA, and here we are now testing the 50 EMA once again. And so this Y wave also looks to be made up of an internal WXY structure. So the next key region short term for ADA would be the 50 to 18.2% retracement level of this whole move to the downside here. And so if the price of ADA was to exceed this region between 43.46 cents to 43.8 cents, that then mean that we are bullish, and it would be highly likely that we then breach above the local top. And if that's the case, that then mean that the third wave ended up topping off over here. And this move to the downside made up of a WXY structure would then form the fourth wave. And what we can then see is this push to the upside to form the fifth wave, where this fifth wave has the potential to reach anywhere between 1.236 to 1.618, and that region sits between 44.11 cents to 44.44 cents. And so, yeah, there are some key regions to be keeping an eye on short term, especially this one here. If we exceed this region, that would then mean that we are bullish and we could see ADA tap into this range. However, if we get rejected, then that would then mean that we topped off the Y wave, and what we could see forming is the correction to the downside, where ADA would then tap into this range here. But of course, that's something I'm going to be tracking in the days and weeks to come, and I'll keep you guys updated. And so yeah, that's just my update on Cardano ADA. Hopefully you found it useful, and if you did, then feel free to hit the like button, and if you're new, feel free to subscribe. Take it easy, people. Peace.